What's going on, everybody? Louie back here again, here to break down UFC Vegas 51. Quick recap of last weekend. Crazy ass fight card. I did really bad. 0-3 on women's. That's kind of expected. And Hamza and Gilbert Burns, don't count that one as a loss, but I lost it. But I think everybody won in that fight. Got Vince Pichel wrong. That one kind of hurt. And then Ian Gary, didn't want to lay the money on him. Got that one wrong. So it is what it is. Most of the losses were pretty sizable underdogs. But the one I did hit was Aljamain Sterling. I just had a feeling, man, and I cashed that ticket, and that kind of saved me. Anyway, on to this weekend. Pretty terrible card, to be honest. But we do have a huge matchup at 170 pounds. You got Bilal, remember the name Muhammad, taking on Vicente Luque. And 170's moving right now. And I'm excited to see that huge matchup, top 5. So whoever wins this is going to be one step closer to the title, and the title picture's going to kind of work itself out. Anyway, let's get on to this. We got 14 fights this week. First fight of the night, bantamweight, 135 pounds. ALATENGHELIL taking on Kevin CROOM. Alaten took on Gustavo Lopez his last fight, ending in a draw. In the first round, he eats some hooks in the pocket. But then he, in a pocket exchange, but then he gets clinched to the fence, but he's able to circle out of it, kind of feeling each other out. Second round, he lands a jab in a 1-2, standing at range, but he's able to stuff the double attempt on the fence. Then he presses forward, lands a 1-2. Then in the third round, he lands an overhand right at range. Then he lands a counter left hook, but he gets pressed and eats some hooks in the pocket. And then he gives up his back in the standing position. Then he gets dragged down. Not the best way to end the fight. I thought he possibly was up 2 rounds, then a legal blow, took a point away. So it is what it is, but, I liked his tenacity in that fight. Kevin CROOM took on Brian Kelleher his last fight. He got taken down to death, so. Before that, he took on Alex Caceres. In the first round, he lands a 1-2 and then clinches him to the fence, and he's able to drag him down from the back position, but he gets reversed and read down for the rest of the round. Then in the second round, he gets a shoot to single to the fence, but he gets stuffed. Then he pushes through, gets the clinch, but then he gets on top, and then he gets put in a triangle, so kind of had to watch his neck there. And then in the third round, he walks into some straight shots from Caceres, gets rocked. Then he shoots against the fence, but he gets his back taken and dragged down. Back on the feet, he shoots, but he gets reversed with the underhook. Caceres is able to jack it up, and then he's in full guard, and then he gives up his back. So trouble with the takedowns. Kevin CROOM plus 150, ALATENGHELIL minus 170. I like Alaten here. Kevin CROOM, not great in any one area. Gets taken down. Alaten, probably not going to take him down too much, but I think his striking's cleaner and more powerful. My pick here is ALATENGHELIL. Second fight of the night at women's strawweight, 115 pounds. You got Estela NUNES taking on Sam Hughes. NUNES took on Ariana Carnelossi her last fight. In the first round, she gets pressed with hooks, but she fires some straight shots, and she's able to circle out of danger. But then she gets taken out with a single off of the fence, but then she gets right back up. I like the tenacity, but then she gets clinched to the fence for a long time toward the end of the round. Then in the second round, she gets taken down with a single against the fence, and then she gets clinched when she gets back up, but she eats some hooks in the pocket, and then gets taken down with a double to end the round. Third round, she backs up, lands some straight shots, and then she eats a hook and gets clinched to the fence, and then she gets taken down with a single and gives up her back and gets submitted for a rear naked choke. So didn't like that, obviously. But Sam Hughes took on Laura Pinheiro her last fight. In the first round, she eats some jabs at range, then eats a straight right, and then she gets hip tossed in the clinch, taken down. In the second round, she starts pressuring, lands a couple jabs of her own, then she gets pressed, but she's able to defend the clinch against the fence, but then she gets dropped with a flurry at the end of the round. Then in the third round, she comes forward, eats a leg kick, and then a flurry from Pinheiro, but she's able to slip the blitz, and she's able to get the clinch to end the fight, but it didn't do her much good. Sam Hughes plus 190, Estela NUNES minus 235. Basically, Sam Hughes did almost nothing. That's what I took from the fight, and it's lower level wins MMA. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I just don't see how Sam Hughes wins this fight. Lower level, sometimes you got to lay the chalk. I hate this price, but, I don't really know who to pick. So my pick here is Estela NUNES. That's that. Third fight on the prelims at 155 pounds, men's lightweight. You got Jordan, the Spider Monkey or something, LEAVITT, taking on Trey Ogden. Ogden making his UFC debut. LEAVITT took on Matt Salas. Salas, his last fight. In the first round, he lands some head kicks at range. But then he eats a straight right, but then he hits the elbow drag, gets to the body lock trip takedown, and then he gets a nice Darce attempt on top to end the round. And then the second round, Sales isn't on a single, but then Leavitt pulls guillotine, but then doesn't get it, but he gets back up, and then he's not able to get it. Sales keeps driving in, but he's able to get a reverse triangle. He's on his hip, and then just gets a submission. So you know, really good mat awareness there, and really good grappler. I just didn't like that he kind of relied on Sales movements to get that, but, you know, got a submission, pretty impressive. And then Trey Ogden took on JJ Okanovich's last fight. In the first round, he pumps some jabs at range, and he gets a double from space, and he's able to get out of a pretty decent armbar attempt. And then the second round, he lands a blast double, and then he's able to get the hooks in, he's able to get the hooks in from the back, but then he's able to transition to full mount, and he's able to get the arm triangle submission. So pretty good display from him. Trey Ogden minus 145, Jordan Leavitt plus 125. This is a tough one here. I don't know. I really liked Ogden's jabs and being able to maintain distance. And, you know, Leavitt just isn't a good striker on the feet. And then if it goes to the ground, I think they'll be in trouble. But I think if it goes to the ground on Ogden's terms, I think he'll be able to be smart enough to not get caught in anything from the bottom, or at least be able to get out of it. This is a tough one here. I don't know, something about what I saw out of the fight. My pick here is Trey Ogden. On to the fourth fight of the prelims. You got a heavyweight banger here. Some fun stuff, a fun slot fest. 265 men's heavyweight, you got Chris Barnett taking on Martin Buday. Buday making his UFC debut. Barnett took on John Vellante, his last fight. In the first round, he circles at range, lunges with some overhands and some straight shots, but he walks into some teeps from Vellante and some leg kicks, and then he eats some hooks at range and the round. But then the second round, not much happens. Pumps some leg kicks, and then standing at range, catches Vellante just kind of standing there, lands a spinning wheel kick, and jumps on him and gets a TKO. Pretty awesome. Vellante, not the best competition though, shouldn't really be a heavyweight. Anyway, Martin Buday took on Lorenzo Hood, his last fight outside of the UFC, in the Contender Series. In the first round, he lands a clinch on the fence, uses the over-under, and then they break, he chases, eats some straight shots, and he gets rocked, but then he's able to regain the clinch, and then lands some knees in there, clear the cobwebs, and then from the clinch, frames off of the head, and then lands a knee to the head, and gets jumps on him, gets a TKO victory. So pretty good stuff from him, kept him in the clinch, really just beating the shit out of him in the clinch. They were almost about to stop it from the clinch, which, you know, it's kind of wild. Martin Buday, minus 250, Chris Barnett, plus 200. I don't know, dude. I guess Buday, the line sucks, but Barnett doesn't do much of anything unless he knocks you out, of what it seems like. I think Buday will be able to get his hands on him, clinch him up, do some work, do some damage, maybe get him out of there by the second. But it's heavyweight, lower level heavyweight, who knows. But my pick here is Martin Buday. Okay, feature fight of the prelims. Let me double check that one though. Nope, sorry. Fifth fight of the prelims, you got Rafa Garcia taking on Jesse Ronson. Garcia took on Natan Levy his last fight. In the first round, he presses forward, lands some hooks in the pocket. He's able to stuff the takedown. Then he gets in the front headlock and uses the cradle, drives it over, and then gets side control for a quick second. Levy gets up though, but then he eats a wheel kick to the head back on the feet, but then he hits a duck under and he's able to take the back standing to end the round. Then in the second round, he catches a kick and he's able to get the takedown. And then back on the feet, lands a right cross off the clinch break, lands a 1-2 in the pocket as well. Then he gets taken down with the blast double, gives up his back, then he's able to work out of it, get back to the feet, and then he gets a double leg right at the end of the round. Way to keep it competitive. I like seeing that. Then in the third round, he eats a head kick and a hook, but then he gets pressed, eats a straight and an uppercut inside the pocket. Then he gets the high single, drives it over, and then he's able to take the back for a minute, and then he's back on they get into a break, and then he's able to get the high single leg takedown in the pocket. So decent stuff from him, especially toward the end of the fight. Jesse Ronson took on Nicholas Dalby his last fight. He's having about a little bit of a year layoff-ish. In the first round, he gets clinched to the fence, but then he pumps leg kicks, and he backs up, lands some jabs, but he eats some straight shots, but he's able to drop Dalby with the straight left whenever he's coming in. Then he gets full mount, and then gets the rear naked choke submission. So this got overturned because of marijuana or some dumb bullshit, but he still got the win over Dalby. He's pretty tough. The line's even, minus 110, minus 110. I don't got a prop here. Sorry, this is at 155, men's lightweight. I apologize. Yeah, lower level, men's lightweight. So, I don't know. I like Rafa Garcia. Yeah, Jesse Ronson, a little bit of layoff, a little bit unknown. I think Rafa Garcia will get stronger as the fight goes on. My pick here is Rafa Garcia. Okay, on to the feature fight of the prelims at 155 men's lightweight. Got KLOSE making his long-awaited return, taking on Brandon Jenkins. KLOSE supposed to fight last year around this time. Stevens pushed him so hard he couldn't fight. So KLOSE took on BUENO Dariush's last fight. In the first round, he lands a straight right in the pocket. He gets taken out the double off the fence, and he gives up the backpack position for the rest of the round. But he hung in there tough, fought the hands, then he gets submitted. Second round, he presses, lands a short right. Then he's able to slip the hook and land a straight right, kind of in a firefight. But then he eats overhand right in the firefight. And then he gets rocked, moves backward on ice skates. And then he just gets knocked the fuck out with left hook from Dariush. And that's that, but Dariush is a monster, so it is what it is. Then Brandon Jenkins took on RONSON his last fight. In the first round, he gets pressed with the blitz and then a leg kick, but he pumps jabs, but he gets pressed with some more leg kicks from Zhu. And he eats a counter right hook off of his straight shot, then eats a hook off of his spinning back kick attempt, and then he gets dropped and he gives up his back. His fault, basically, battering IQ from him. Second round, he eats a 1-2, and then a head kick, and he gets clinched to the fence. And then he gets taken down and gives up his back again. But then he eats, back on the feet, eats a straight flurry against the fence. Then in the third round, he eats some jabs and a straight right inside the pocket. And then he gets taken down off of a spinning elbow attempt and gives his back and gets TKO'd from the back. Very poor ring IQ, in my opinion. I didn't really see too much I liked out of him. The Jenkins plus 435, KLOSE minus 600. The line sucks, but my pick here is KLOSE, and I don't really have a prop because KLOSE has been out of action. But you know, if you want to go under, that's not a bad bet to make. My pick here is KLOSE. On to the co-main event of the prelims at women's bantamweight 135. You got Lena LANSBERG taking on KIANZAD. LANSBERG took on Sarah McMahon her last fight. In the first round, she gets taken down with a high single and gets in a half guard. Back on the feet, she's able to defend, not back on the feet, but she's able to defend the darts and a Kimura attempt at least, but can't do much from there. Then the second round, she gets taken down with an inside trip and a half guard. Stays on her back the whole round, basically. Then in the third round, battering IQ, she initiates the clinch. LANSBERG is obviously better there. Gets taken out with the inside trip and then gives back rear naked choke position. Rest of the round gets dominated, and that's that. Did not look good at all, in my opinion. KIANZAD took on Raquel Pennington her last fight. In the first round, she gets clinched to the fence, but she's able to reverse the head and arm trip, and she's able to take the back standing of Pennington for a bit. They get back on the feet, back in space, and then she lands a short hook from the clinch. And then in the second round, she gets the clinch immediately, but she eats some hooks and gets reversed against the fence. And then she's able to land a 1-2, but she gets clinched to the fence. And then she lands some knees to the body, but she gets caught whenever she puts the knee up and gets taken down, and then gives up her back. And Pennington takes that round. Third round, she gets clinched to the fence with the collar tie, but she's able to reverse on the fence. But then back in space, she eats a straight right, and she gets clinched. And then she backs up and lands a 1-2 in the pocket. But Pennington took over rounds 2 and 3 there, in my opinion. But decent showing from her. Looked really good in the first round. KIANZAD minus 425, LANSBERG plus 320. My pick here is KIANZAD. Pretty plain and simple, lower level women's MMA, especially at 135. And, you know, the line sucks, but that's that. Okay, on to the main event of the prelims at 205 pounds. But I heard it was a heavyweight. Not completely sure. But, I don't know. It's getting weird. Any case, you got Devin Clark taking on William Knight. Devin Clark took on Ian Cutelaba his last fight. Took a beating in that fight, but survived. A lot of respect. In the first round, he gets a double off the fence immediately, but then he gets a clinch on the fence. But then they break, and he presses with a jab and a head kick, but then he gets dropped with the overhand right, eats some ground and pound, but he's able to get to his feet, but then gets mat returned by Cutelaba. In the second round, he gets taken down with a double from space after he lands a leg kick. But then he's put in full mount, and then eats some hard elbows by Cutelaba. And then back on the feet, he misses a hook and gets clinched and eats some knees to end the round. Then in the third round, he gets taken down with the high single, and he tries back on the feet, tries a body lock trip, but he gets taken down with a double off the fence. Cutelaba just a little too strong and too good a position. Then toward the end of the fight, he stuffs a double, and then he's able to get on top, land some ground and pound, but too little, too late. And you know, kind of like broke his jaw or whatever. But tough fight for him, but he hung in there. And then William Knight took on Maxim Grishin his last fight. Knight missed weight by like 12 pounds, I believe, so they put it up at heavyweight. Maximum gets maximum aggression. First round, he stands at range, eats a head kick, not much happens at all. Second round, he gets pressure toward the fence, eats some leg kicks, but then eats a right cross, and he shoots a single, but he gets stuffed, but he's able to get the clinch against the fence, and then he's able to complete the single leg takedown, but he gets reversed and slips, but he jumps on his back and just kind of slips off too high, too overzealous, and gets reversed there. And then in the third round, he gets pressed, eats some leg kicks and a straight right off of a spinning back fist, misses spinning back fist, and then he's able to catch a single and then get a takedown. Then he's in half guard, but GARCIA is able to stand up. There's just too much space whenever William Knight tries to pass, and then he gets dropped with a straight right to end the fight. William Knight plus 150, Devin Clark minus 170. I don't know. I kind of like William Knight here. I like the plus money on him. I know he doesn't do much. I know Clark's more dynamic, but I think William Knight can get a hold of him and clinch him and slow this fight down. I think he's got a shot. I think he'd steal his rounds. I don't know. We've seen him do it before. Plus 150. You know, he's going to be the bigger guy for sure. My pick here is William Nightmare Knight. Why not? Okay. On to the first fight of the main card. 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got LAZZEZ taking on LOOSA. LAZZEZ, he took on Alves his last fight. Quick fight. First round, eats a leg kick and hooks, and he gets clinched to the fence, but then he gets taken down with the overhook step through trip, and then he eats back on the feet, eats multiple body kicks off the clinch break, and then he gets dropped and TKO'd from leg kicks. So tough one for him. Before that, though, he took on Abdul Razak Al Hassan. In the first round, he gets pressed, eats a flurry on the fence, but then he lands a knee to the body into 1-2, and then he gets off the fence, starts pumping leg kicks, and then he lands a left hook and then a head kick. And then he's able to get the blast double at the end of the round. Really getting lit up there in the first round, but was able to weather it and get into space and pick his shots and land more effectively. In the second round, he slips a hook in the pocket, and then he lands a blitz, and then he lands a flurry on the fence. He starts pumping his jab, really piecing him up there. And then he gets the double inside the pocket, and then back on the feet, he's able to circle off and land some elbows, and he's able to get a double leg takedown off the fence to end the round. Then in the third round, he gets clinched, but he's able to get the takedown, and that's pretty much it. So he looked really good as the fight went on. That's something you want to look for. And then Angel LOOSA took on Jack Mandela his last fight. In the first round, he pumps some jabs at range. He gets rocked with the right hook in the pocket, but he eats some 1-2s as he's trying to come forward, get inside. Then in the second round, he lands some straight shots. He gets countered, he eats some hooks, then he shoots a double, he's too far out, and then it gets stuffed. But then back on the feet, he eats a body and hooks to the head and the body in the pocket. Then he's able to get on top whenever Jack throws a knee in the plum tie and just grabs it and takes him down. And then he's able to go for an arm triangle attempt. It looked pretty decent. You know, didn't get it, but he didn't blow his arms out either, so that's good. And looks good for the judges. Then in the third round, his double leg attempt gets stuffed, but then he's able to stuff a double of Mandela. Then he lands some straight shots at range, and then he's able to get the blast double takedown, but then back on the feet, eat some hooks and the fight. But you know, I thought it looked pretty decent, hung in there, and you know, not crazy power, but he did land, and he was able to go 3 rounds, which I liked. Angel LOOSA plus 170, LAZZEZ minus 200. This is kind of a tough one here, but I kind of like Angel LOOSA, man. You'd think his cardio is bad, but it's really not. And I think he'll be able to pace himself better than Razak Al Hassan did. And he's big plus money. And, you know, LAZZEZ, he gets cracked. It could really change the fight. My pick here is Angel LOOSA. On the second fight in the main card at 145 men's featherweight, you got Pat Sabatini taking on TJ Laramie. Sabatini took on Tucker Lutz his last fight. In the first round, he lunges forward with some overhands, shoots a double on the fence, gets the inside trip, takes the back, rear naked choke attempt, keeps him there for a substantial amount of time. Second round, he gets a double off of Lutz's kick and gets it in the side control. Then he goes for a top guillotine attempt, and then he's able to take the back, walks up to figure 4. Solid round for him again. Then in the third round, he stands at range, and then he shoots a high single, gets the clinch against the fence, but then he gets taken down with the double, but then he gets right back up, and then he gets a takedown with the inside trip again. That was his move in that fight. Looks really good. Was on the back, was relentless, complete control in my opinion. Then TJ Laramie took on Derek Minner his last fight, very quick. First round, just gets TJ TJ goes for the clinch and gets submitted with the guillotine. Manor pulls it really tight, and that's that. Tough one for him, but before that, he took on Daniel Swain in the Contender Series a little bit ago. In the first round, he presses with the 1-2, gets the clinch. Then he catches the kick, gets the takedown. He's able to defend the armbar attempt. Then he lands some elbows from half guard, and then doesn't make it on. Daniel Swain doesn't answer the bell. So that's that. Looked okay in that fight. TJ Laramie plus 375, Pat Sabatini minus 510. I hate the price, but I really like what I saw out of Sabatini. I think he rolls here. I think he'll get complete control in all 3 rounds pretty much. If not, might get it late in the first and then continue on from there. My pick here is Pat Sabatini. Over 2.5 minus 125. I like that. Sabatini, not really a finisher. I like over 2.5 minus 125. Line's not too bad. My pick here is Pat Sabatini. Okay. Third fight on the main card at women's bantamweight, 135 pounds. You got Mayra Bueno Silva taking on Wu Yanan. Silva took on Mignon Fiera her last fight. In the first round, she presses, eats a 1-2, but she keeps the high guard, just walks into combinations, and this happens throughout the entire fight, so I'm not going to keep on talking about it, but that was her game plan. It was really stupid. Not all of them got through, but she's just getting scored on. She gets knocked down with the side kick, and then she eats a jab, and she walks into the double leg, gets taken down, end of the first. Then the second round, she stuffs a single, lands some knees in the clinch, but then she gets clinched to the fence, and then she lands a leg kick to the collar tie, but she can't hold it, and Mignon breaks out, and more of the same, just kind of gets pieced up there. Then in the third round, she gets pressed with hooks, and she gets clinched to the fence, and then taken out with the double, and that's that, man. A couple exchanges where she threw some odd hooks, but nothing really landed. Then Wu Yanan took on Jocelyn Edwards her last fight. In the first round, she gets a body lock trip whenever she gets pressed, and then she's able to defend the armbar on the ground. And then she goes for the Kimura, and then she's able to take the back from there. But then she gets reversed and gets her back taken at the end of the first. But looked pretty good. I liked that takedown she had. Then the second round, she lands a leg kick to a right cross, and then gets the clinch. And then she lands 1-2 and circles out on the feet. Then she gets a body lock trip, but Edwards is able to roll through, and then she's able to get on top, and then she eats some ground and pound from the top position, and then back on the feet, she eats a blitz at the end. So, Edwards has her moment in that round. Then in the third round, she lands a left hook in exchange at range, and then she lands a short right whenever she gets pressed, and then she steps in and lands a straight right. Relatively close fight. I thought she had the first round. Edwards took the second. I thought Yanan took the third, but they give it to Edwards. Competitive fight, though. Yanan has had pretty good volume. Yanan plus 375. Silva minus 510. This line is absolutely ridiculous. I didn't see anything I liked out of Silva. I like, Yanan might get reversed, but I thought she had more volume, and she's going for a takedown. It's being aggressive. I'll take that all day for plus 375. And then the over 2.5 minus 170, low-level women's fight. Decent chance that it'll go over. So my pick here is Wu Yanan plus 275. Okay. Feature fight of the main card, 170 pounds, men's bantamweight. You got Miguel Baeza taking on Andre Fialho. Baeza took on Chaos Williams his last fight. In the first round, he circles along the fence and lands a counter left hook whenever Chaos comes in. But then he eats a right hook, but he lands an overhand right in the exchange. Then he gets kicked off balance, but he goes for the knee bar and then a heel hook, but he just eats some ground and pound. Not the smartest move in my opinion. Second round, he eats some leg kicks at range, but he lands the harder kicks, starts pressing because Chaos starting to wobble a little bit. Then he eats some body and head hooks in the pocket, and he presses forward, lands a 1-2, but then he eats a straight right at range. And then looking good going into the third round, but he keeps landing those leg kicks whenever he gets pressed, and he throws a right hook, but he eats a counter right hook and gets knocked the fuck out because it's Chaos Williams. So just got a little too comfortable in the pocket there, but I thought he looked pretty good up until that point. And Chaos cannot get anybody out. And then Andre Fialho took on Michel Pierre his last fight. Took his fight on relatively short notice. In the first round, he stalks forward, but he gets pressed and eats some straight shots by Pierre. But then he lands a jab, lands a 1-2 against the fence, but he eats a counter right hook off of his own jab. But, I thought he looked pretty good in the first round. Really stuck it to Pierre. Got in his face. Then in the second round, he eats a overhand right at range, but he eats a 1-2 and a right cross. Eats a front kick to the body. Pierre kept him off of him. Then he eats a 1-2, but then he lands some counter left hooks. Then he eats a flurry on the fence and knees to the body, but he's able to return with some body hooks of his own and get out of the clinch position. Then he eats some straight rights, and he gets taken down with the double at the end. But then in the third round, he lands a jab, presses with a 1-2, and then he's able to get the clinch to the fence, and then he breaks and he presses, lands a jab. And, you know, I thought he had the first round, second two. Pierre kind of started to take over. But, you know, he had a good game plan in the first, really took it to him. But, you know, Pierre is just a little too dynamic and a little too much for him, but hopefully he'll learn from that. Andre Fialho plus 155, Miguel BAEZA minus 180. I've been going back and forth on this one, but I just really like the first round out of Fialho. I liked the pressure, I like the jabs, I like the precision. Tough one, but Andre's plus money. I think he can get it done. As long as he can bank 2 rounds, I think he can do that. My pick here is Andre Fialho. All right, here we go. On to the co-main event of the main card. Very random, 2 contender series guys making their debut. Let's just roll with it and have fun, hopefully. 185, men's middleweight. You got Kyle BORRALHO taking on Gadzhi OMARGADZHIEV. And BORRALHO took on Jesse Murray his last fight. Didn't go very long. First round, bounces in and out. Machida karate-like style. Presses some straight left. Presses straight left, slips the hook, lands a 1-2, then he lands a right hook and just jumps on him and gets a TKO. So that's that. Before that, though, he took on Aaron Jeffrey again in the contender series. In the first round, he presses the 1-2, then backs out, eats a right hook, then he lands a jab and a body kick. Then he lands a lead right hook, but he gets clinched, and then he's able to land a jump knee at the end of the round. I think he stole the round. Second and third round, more the same. Gets clinched a little bit more, but he's able to land shots, pick his shots, stick and move. And his cardio carries throughout all 3 rounds, basically. He slows down a little bit at the end, but that's to be expected. And then Gadzhi took on Jancy Silva his last fight, again in the contender series. In the first round, he lands a straight right, 2 double. Then he's in full guard, pulls the heel hook, and then he gets the knee bar, and heel hook transitions to a knee bar, and then he gets a submission. So interesting choice from him. Going for any type of leg lock is tricky. And if you don't get it, it can give up the position. But he got it. It paid off for him. So good for him. Got a quick submission. Gadzhi minus 130. Kyle BORRALHO plus 110. Tough one here. Not too much information. But I like Gadzhi. Russian-type wrestler. And, you know, goes for the straight shot and then goes for the double. And I think that's effective against anybody. I think he'll be able to grind on BORRALHO. Line's not too wide, so not really making too much fun either way. My pick here is Gadzhi OMARGADZHIEV. On to the main event of the evening, 170 pounds, men's welterweight. You got Vicente Luque taking on Bilal. Remember the name, goddammit, Muhammad. Should be a fun one. We just saw KIANZAD and Burns get after it, and trying to figure out who the next contender at 170 is. And, you know, top 5 matchup here. Whoever wins this one is probably one away. Probably fight Colby or KIANZAD next, maybe even Burns. But whoever wins this one is going to be in a great spot, especially if somebody could get a finish or a very impressive, dominant performance. Vicente Luque took on Michael Chiesa his last fight. In the first round, he gets pressed, eats a 1-2, but then he lands a lead right hook on Chiesa. But then he steps in, throws to throw a hook, and he gets doubled. And then in half guard, and then he gives up his back, and he gets put in a rear naked choke. But Chiesa only has 1 hook in. He's a little too high. Vicente, too much of a grappling veteran for that. And then he's able to swim out, and then he pulls the Darce, gets on his side, locks up the leg, and gets a submission. So a pretty crazy fight, but that's how it went. And then before he fought Woodley, and, you know, not too much information to take off of that, but, you know, kind of stood in the pocket with Woodley, got cracked a little bit, but was able to land a counter, and locked up another Darce choke. So, and then Bilal Muhammad, he took on Stephen Wonderboy Thompson his last fight. In the first round, he shoots a double on the fence. He gets left at first, and then he eats a spin kick. Then he lands a jab, gets a double on the fence, and then he's able to keep the clinch on the feet. Then he reverses the clinch whenever Wonderboy has him on the clinch, and he's able to get the single, and then he's able to get on his back, put both hooks in, and just lands some hard ground and pound in the first round. Kind of almost had him out of there. Really impressive. Then in the second round, he eats a 1-2 at range, but then he gets the double off of the fence. And then he gets a single and a half guard, and then lands some elbows. And whenever he's shooting the takedown and he's not getting it right away, he keeps the clinch, just makes Wonderboy pay, doesn't give up on him, doesn't give him space, and you know, workmanlike performance from him. Then in the third round, he eats a 1-2, but he's able to get the body lock and get the single off the fence, and then he presses Wonderboy back to the fence, and he lands some shots, kind of picks him apart a little bit, and then he gets caught in a guillotine, but he bails out. And he's able to get the double leg at range, just kind of shoot for it. and gets it whenever he gets Wonder Boy into his striking exchange and then shoots for the double. So really good stuff from him. And, you know, ate a couple shots to come in, but didn't get rocked or anything like that, and paid off for him. Belal Muhammad plus 155, Vicente Luque minus 180. This is a tough one here. At first, I thought Vicente, but I remembered it's 5 rounds. And I think Belal might get cracked pretty hard at first, but I think he'll be able to survive the first couple rounds. I know in their last fight, he got knocked out pretty early, but that was 6 years ago. They're both different fighters. And, you know, 5-round fight, I think it's going to favor Belal. I think he can increase his pace as the fight goes on and really win those last 3 rounds. I don't see him getting a finish or anything here, so if you want to take Belal by decision plus 275, decent bet, but you never know in this game. Vicente might get tired out and Belal might get a submission or ground and pound finish or something, so keep that in mind, but I think Belal decisions the safest bet. But officially, my pick here is Belal. Remember the name Muhammad. All right, everyone, thanks for watching me. Sorry about last week. Bad performance, no excuses, but I did go for a lot of the underdogs, so I said I was comfortable losing on the underdogs because they were so huge and I had to take a shot, and a lot of the ones I lost were really close. So, you know, it is what it is, but my fault. I'll do better research, make better decisions, but I appreciate everybody riding with me. In the description, leave a comment, ask me some questions, let me know what you guys are thinking about the bets, upcoming fights, anything like that. In the description, check my Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, all that stuff. I'll do a post-fight recap, and I appreciate all the support, guys. And, you know, let's see some stars rise to the top, some stars get created. Not a lot of big names on this card, but the potential for some people to make their names. Excited for that. Let's see a new contender at 170. Let's see some violence, and let's win some damn money.